Welcome back, everyone, to Baha'i Reflections and the Deep Dive. Glad you could join us again.
Yeah, it's great to be back and diving into the next part of this study.
Absolutely. So, we're picking up where we left off in our Ruhi study series. We're still in Book 3, which is Teaching Children's Classes.
That's right. And for this deep dive, we're focusing specifically on Section 2 of Book 3. It's titled Lessons for Children's Classes, Grade 1.
Grade 1, okay. So these are for the younger ones.
Exactly. Typically kids around 5 or 6 years old. And this section, it's really rich. It lays out 24 specific lessons for them.
24 lessons, wow.
Yeah, and for those of you familiar with the Ruhi Institute's work, this is kind of where the theory starts becoming, really practical, concrete lessons.
Right, moving from the framework to the actual classroom stuff.
Precisely. And just a reminder, if you happen to miss part 1 of this deep dive where we kind of set the stage and talked about the overall philosophy.
Yeah, you might want to go back and catch that one first. It'll definitely help put today's discussion in context.
Definitely. It helps to follow the whole journey.
So our mission today, it's not just to list these 24 lessons.
No, not at all.
We want to really unpack them.
Right.
Right? Get into the spiritual qualities, the prayers involved, the stories they use.
And the teaching methods, too. It's all woven together.
Exactly. We're trying to pull out the key insights, understand the why and the how behind nurturing spiritual growth in these young kids.
And, what that teaches us as adults about these same virtues, it's reflective in that way, too.
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing how studying material for children deepens your own understanding.
It really does. And you can see how carefully this material is put together. It's really custom tailored, you could say.
How so?
Well, it's designed to build the capacity to teach these character-focused classes. It integrates everything, memorizing prayers and quotes, singing songs, telling stories, playing games, even coloring.
Whole package deal.
Yeah, it's holistic. All these pieces work together to foster spiritual growth, but also intellectual development. It's way beyond just rote learning.
Makes sense. So with 24 lessons, how are we tackling this?
We've decided to break it down. We'll take the lessons in blocks of 4.
Okay, 4 at a time.
Yeah, that way we can pause and really reflect on each spiritual quality, the prayers tied to it, and the stories that bring it all to life for the kids.
And just to be clear, our goal here isn't to train people listening to become grade 1 teachers.
No, not directly. It's more about using this curriculum as a lens to deepen everyone's understanding of these fundamental spiritual principles.
Got it. Okay, well, let's dive in then. Where do we start?
Let's start right at the beginning, lessons 1 through 4.
All right. The first block. What's the focus here?
These first 4 really lay the groundwork. They focus on what you might call foundational spiritual qualities. We're talking purity, justice, love, and truthfulness.
Purity, justice, love, truthfulness. Wow. Starting strong.
Definitely. This initial section is really crucial. It helps participants, people studying the book to teach, get familiar with the content. But more than that, it helps them internalize these qualities themselves.
So it's not just academic for the teacher either.
Not at all. And, for us looking at it, the choice of these 4 virtues right at the start, it tells you a lot about the curriculum's priorities.
What does it tell you?
Well, purity of heart as a starting point. Justice as the key social principle, love as the binding force, and truthfulness as the bedrock of ethics. It's a powerful foundation.
It really is. And prayer seems central right from the get-go in these classes.
Yep.
Section 2 in the book talks specifically about the teacher's opening prayer. Why start with a prayer recited by the teacher? What's the thinking there?
That's a really key pedagogical choice. It's about modeling. For these first 4 lessons, there's a specific beautiful prayer suggested for the teacher given by Abdu'l-Bahá.
You share it.
Sure. It goes, "Oh God, educate these children. These children are the plants of thine orchard, the flowers of thy meadow, the roses of thy garden. Let thy rain fall upon them. Let the sun of reality shine upon them with thy love. Let thy breeze refresh them in order that they may be trained, grow, and develop, and appear in the utmost beauty. Thou art the giver. Thou art the compassionate."
Oh, that's beautiful. Plants of thine orchard, flowers of thy meadow.
Exactly. So when children hear their teachers saying these words with reverence, they don't just pick up on the atmosphere. They start to internalize the language of devotion. They get this sense of their own spiritual growth as something tender, something needing God's help.
Like a spiritual apprenticeship, you said earlier.
Yes, exactly that. It sets the tone.
That imagery is so potent. It really frames the teacher's role differently, doesn't it? Not just an instructor, but like a gardener.
Precisely. Tending to these unique, delicate spiritual beings, it fosters a certain mindset in the teacher, too, beyond just creating a devotional feel in the class.
What kind of mindset?
A mindset of, well, profound humility, I'd say, and immense responsibility. It shifts the focus from just classroom management to nurturing these latent spiritual capacities in each child.
So the prayer isn't just for the kids' benefit.
No, it's also shaping the teacher's vision of the child, seeing each one as inherently precious, full of divine potential, not just an empty slate. It encourages patience, love, hope, recognizing that real education is a partnership with God.
That makes sense. And then the children have their own prayer to learn, right?
Yeah.
For memorization.
Yes. For these initial lessons, the focus is on He is God. O God, my God, bestow upon me a pure heart like unto a pearl.
A pure heart like unto a pearl, asking for purity right away. Why introduce such an abstract idea so early and with that specific image of a pearl? What's the significance?
Well, it works as a brilliant conceptual anchor. Abdu'l-Bahá talks about how prayer brings joy to children, and this is fascinating, engenders the susceptibilities of the higher intelligence.
Higher intelligence. So
Yeah.
prayer isn't just devotional, it's cognitive.
In a way, yes, it's about spiritual cognition. The pure heart, like unto a pearl image, teaches two big ideas at once. First, that purity is this innate, precious quality inside them, like a hidden treasure.
Okay.
And second, that it needs to be sought after, cultivated, like how a pearl forms and is found. It kind of sets up this lifelong quest for inner goodness, starting with the idea that their heart can be beautiful and clear.
That idea of prayer engendering susceptibilities of the higher intelligence is really striking. Most people think of prayer for solace or guidance. But as a catalyst for intellectual awakening, what's the pedagogical insight there?
It elevates prayer, doesn't it? From just ritual to a dynamic learning tool. The insight is that engaging with the sacred word actually helps shape a child's mental landscape. It prepares them not just spiritually, but for a kind of enlightened understanding you might not get through purely secular learning.
How so?
It teaches them to listen differently, to connect on a deeper level. It fosters intuition, spiritual perception, alongside logic. It's like a primer for wisdom, suggesting spiritual and cognitive development are linked right from the start.
So if this prayer time is so vital for awakening that higher intelligence, how do you make sure it's a quality experience, not just kids reciting words, but really fostering reverence?
That's crucial. The curriculum really emphasizes creating that atmosphere of devotion. It means helping the children show reverence, maybe how they sit, where they place their hands, focusing their eyes, little things that help center their hearts and minds.
Practical things.
Yes, and the advice is very practical. It's better to have, say, 3 or 4 children offer prayers in a truly spiritual, quiet atmosphere than to have everyone try to say something amidst chaos.
So not everyone prays every single class.
Not necessarily reciting aloud, no. The focus is on the quality of the experience. Those who do pray aloud have a focus moment, and the others absorb that devotional feeling. Everyone gets a turn over a few classes. It's about depth, not just ticking boxes.
That makes a lot of sense. Quality over quantity. So beyond the how-to, what's the core understanding of prayer they're trying to instill in these early weeks?
The aim is to make it feel natural, like a loving chat with God. The teacher might explain it's like talking to a kind parent who always listens. A time to say thank you, ask for help, ask for strength to be good.
Focusing on the relationship.
Exactly. The relationship, the connection, the joy it brings, rather than just obligation, framing it as personal, powerful, and comforting.
That's a lovely way to introduce it. Okay, let's move to the spiritual qualities themselves. Section 3 gets into the nitty-gritty for lessons 1 to 4. Purity, justice, love, truthfulness. These are big concepts.
Huge concepts, and the material encourages the teachers or anyone studying it to really reflect deeply on each one. Take justice, for instance. Bahá'u'lláh says, "The light of men is justice, quench it not."
With the contrary winds of oppression and tyranny, the purpose of justice is the appearance of unity among men. Powerful.
And there's another key passage. "The best beloved of all things in my sight is justice. Turn not away therefrom if thou desirest me. By its aid thou shalt see with thine own eyes, and not through the eyes of others."
See with thine own eyes and not through the eyes of others.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. What's the unique Baha'i insight there about justice? It seems to link it to independent perception.
It does, profoundly. The insight is that real justice isn't just following rules or what society says. It's about cultivating an inner capacity for impartial perception.
Seeing for yourself.
Exactly. An unclouded, independent investigation of reality, free from prejudice, self-interest, or just following the crowd. So when you teach kids about justice, it's not just about sharing toys fairly.
So that's part of it, surely.
Of course. But the deeper seed being planted is about nurturing an independent spirit, a commitment to truth, which is essential for building unity. It connects justice directly to intellectual honesty.
Beautifully put. Okay, what about love? The writings must have profound things to say there, too.
Oh, absolutely. Bahá'u'lláh says, "The essence of love is for man to turn his heart to the beloved one and sever himself from all else but him." And Abdu'l-Bahá calls love the secret of God's holy dispensation, the fountain of spiritual outpourings.
Wow. So love isn't just human affection. It's framed as a spiritual secret, a divine fountain.
Yes, its source is God, and its purpose is to establish fellowship and unity among everyone.
That's a huge, almost cosmic view of love.
Yeah.
How does that filter down into teaching it to 5-year-olds?
Well, by presenting love through this spiritual lens, the aim is to instill something bigger than just liking your friends and family. It's about cultivating an expansive, universal love.
How do you explain that?
You might simplify it, maybe like God's love is like super glue holding everyone together, but the core idea is that this quality connects us to God and, through Him, to all people. It frames love as a divine power, the ultimate problem solver for bringing harmony.
The ultimate problem solver. I like that. And the last one in this block is truthfulness.
Yes. Baha'u'lláh advises, "Let truthfulness and courtesy be your adorning." And there's a really striking quote from Abdu'l-Bahá. "Truthfulness is the goodliest of qualities as it comprehendeth all other virtues. A truthful person will be protected from all moral afflictions."
Comprehendeth all other virtues. That's significant. It's not just a virtue, it's like the foundation.
Exactly. It underpins everything else. And that idea that it protects from moral afflictions.
What does that mean for a child's character and for us adults trying to cultivate it?
It's a critical insight. Truthfulness isn't just about stating facts accurately. It's about integrity of being. Your thoughts, words, actions all aligning.
Inner coherence.
Yes, and that coherence acts like a shield against moral afflictions, deceit, hypocrisy, all sorts of vices, because those things just can't coexist with truthfulness. For adults, it's a reminder that all our virtues flow from this commitment to truth. If you stray from truthfulness, other virtues get compromised too. It's our internal compass.
Such a powerful foundation in these first 4 lessons. And then these abstract qualities are made real through stories, right? Section 4 talks about that, often using stories about Abdu'l-Bahá. How was he introduced to the children?
It's done very gently and lovingly. He's presented as the perfect example of all these virtues. You know, Baha'u'llah's son, someone incredibly kind, wise, who spent his whole life serving people.
Focusing on his human qualities.
Yes, his love for everyone, his kindness even when people were unkind to him, his life of service. It creates an immediate connection. Kids can visualize and relate to these big ideas through him as a real person. He makes the ideals tangible.
Right. So lesson 1 on purity uses the story of Abdu'l-Bahá and his guest. We touched on that. Lesson 2 uses a story about justice, about his journey from Akka to Haifa, where he gave up his comfort for others. What's the deep teaching method there? Conveying justice through a simple act of sacrifice.
The genius is showing that justice isn't just about abstract fairness. It's about actively prioritizing others' needs over your own comfort or privilege.
Like choosing the crowded coach over the private one.
Exactly. For a child, that's a concrete choice they can grasp. It plants the seed that selflessness is part of justice. For us adults, it shows that high-level justice means actively giving up advantages to lift others up. It's not just not being unfair, it's actively promoting equity through personal choice. Justice becomes an action word.
That really clarifies it. Then lesson 3, love, tells the story of Abdu'l-Bahá being kind to a man in Akka who was always rude to him. What specific aspect of love does that highlight?
It highlights that love isn't conditional. It extends even to those who are difficult or unkind. It's about not letting their negativity put out your own light.
Persistent kindness.
Yes, the power of persistent, unwavering kindness. For adults, Abdu'l-Bahá's example shows that unconditional love isn't weakness. It's a transformative force. It doesn't just tolerate, it actively seeks to uplift. It shows love can dissolve animosity, making it a strategic spiritual power, not just a passive feeling.
A strategic spiritual power.
Right.
Interesting. And lesson 4, truthfulness, uses the classic story of the boy who cried wolf. Kids get the consequence don't lie or no one will believe you. But the curriculum wants them to see the reward of truthfulness. What is that reward?
The reward, clearly highlighted, is trust. When the shepherd lied, he lost the villagers' trust, and that left him isolated when he actually needed help.
So trust is the prize.
Exactly. The curriculum shows trust is invaluable. It's the glue for relationships, for communities. For adults, even this simple story underscores how fragile trust is and how vital it is for society. A truthful society has a strong social contract.
Yeah.
Dishonesty just destabilizes everything. It's really a lesson in social capital.
Makes sense. And Section 5 emphasizes practicing these lessons, teachers practicing with each other. Why is that practice element so central to the Ruhi approach?
Practice is key to their whole methodology of building capacity. It goes beyond just knowing the stuff intellectually.
By actually doing it.
Right, because these virtues aren't just concepts, they're ways of being you need to cultivate. For the teachers, practicing helps them internalize the lessons. It makes their delivery feel real, enthusiastic. And that authenticity is crucial because kids learn so much through modeling and feeling the emotional tone.
So the teacher embodies the lesson.
Ideally, yes. The practice helps ensure they're not just reading from a book, but sharing something they've engaged with deeply. It makes the learning alive for the children. It's about developing a kind of spiritual artistry in teaching.
Okay, so building on that foundation of purity, justice, love, and truthfulness, where do the lessons go next? Lessons 5 through 8.
Right. This next block focuses on qualities that really expand the heart's capacity for, you could say, altruism. We're looking at generosity, selflessness, joyfulness, and sincerity.
Generosity, selflessness, joyfulness, sincerity. Another powerful set.
Definitely. It's a deliberate progression. And again, before we get into the qualities, let's look at the teacher's prayer for this set. Another one from Abdu'l-Bahá.
What does this one emphasize?
It goes, "O thou kind Lord, these lovely children are the handiwork of the fingers of thy might and the wondrous signs of thy greatness. O God, protect these children, graciously assist them to be educated, and enable them to render service to the world of humanity. O God, these children are pearls, cause them to be nurtured within the shell of thy loving kindness. Thou art the bountiful, the all-loving."
Beautiful again, pearls. Handiwork of thy might. Reinforces that idea of intrinsic worth we saw earlier. But this one adds something new. Enable them to render service to the world of humanity. What's the significance of introducing service so early?
That's a key aspiration here. It awakens children to their inherent purpose, service. The first prayer focused more on inner purity. This one expands outward to action, to contributing to society.
So spiritual education isn't just for personal growth.
Exactly. For adults looking at this, it's a reminder that spiritual education aims to empower people to contribute positively to everyone's well-being. It frames even young children as potential agents of change, capable of global impact, planting seeds of global citizenship and social responsibility right from the start.
That's a big vision. And the children's prayer for this block.
It's, "O God, guide me, protect me, make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star. Thou art the mighty and the powerful."
Shining lamp, brilliant star, powerful images again. How do metaphors like that work for conveying complex spiritual ideas to kids? And what does this suggest to us adults about our own potential?
Metaphors are so effective for abstract ideas. Lamps and stars give light, guidance, beauty. For kids, it connects being good internally to something visible and positive. Being good makes you shine.
Simple and clear.
And for adults, it's a potent reminder of our own capacity for spiritual emanation. We're meant to be light givers, not just passive. It underscores that our virtues aren't just for us. They're meant to light up the world around us, inspire hope, bring clarity. It's a call to actively manifest our spiritual qualities.
Okay, let's get into those qualities. Generosity, selflessness, joyfulness, and sincerity, starting with generosity.
Right. Baha'u'lláh tells us, "Be generous in your days of plenty and be patient in the hour of loss." And Abdu'l-Bahá clarifies that magnanimity begins when we spend on ourselves, our family, and the poor. And then there's that beautiful instruction from Baha'u'lláh, be ye day springs of generosity.
Day springs of generosity. I love that. So it's clearly more than just sharing toys. What's the deeper understanding of generosity the curriculum aims for?
The profound insight is that generosity is really an attitude of the soul, not just an action. A day spring implies this continuous flowing source, right? Like a spring that never runs dry.
And not just a one-off act.
Exactly. It teaches children and reminds us adults that generosity covers our time, our kindness, our wisdom, even patience during hardship, like Baha'u'lláh mentioned. It's about cultivating an inner abundance that just flows out naturally in all parts of life. True wealth is spiritual and meant to be shared. It really reframes having and giving.
That's a much richer view.
Yeah.
Okay, next is selflessness.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds challenging.
It is a high calling. Abdu'l-Bahá says, you must have infinite love for each other, each preferring the other before himself. And even more strongly, man is he who forgets his own interests for the sake of others. Nay, rather his own life must he be willing to forfeit for the life of mankind.
Wow. Preferring others, forgetting your own interests, even forfeiting your life. That's a huge ideal. How do you even begin to introduce that to young children? And what does it say about the curriculum's ultimate aim for society?
Well, the curriculum is clever. It plants the seeds for this high ideal through simple, relatable actions. For a child, selflessness might mean sharing a favorite toy, taking turns, comforting a sad friend before playing your own game.
Starting small.
Right. The insight is that selflessness begins by recognizing someone else's needs are valid and consciously choosing to prioritize them, even in small ways. For adults, seeing this introduced so early reveals the curriculum's grand vision, cultivating a humanity capable of real solidarity, where the collective good truly comes before individual gain. It's a blueprint for a unified world, starting with basic empathy and sacrifice.
A blueprint starting in grade 1. Okay, then joyfulness. The quote seemed really uplifting.
They are. Abdu'l-Bahá encourages us to soar upon the wings of joy in the atmosphere of the love of God. And he also says, joy gives us wings. In times of joy, our strength is more vital, our intellect keener, and our understanding less clouded.
Joy gives us wings. It sounds like joy isn't just a nice feeling, but a force that actually enhances our abilities, even our minds. What does that suggest about joy's role in spiritual learning?
The insight is that joy isn't just a result of spiritual life, it's an active facilitator of it. For kids, a joyful classroom makes learning virtues uplifting, not a chore.
Makes learning stick.
Exactly. And for adults, these quotes remind us that joy, especially joy from loving God, is like spiritual fuel. It sharpens perception, strengthens our resolve, makes us more open to guidance. It suggests if our spiritual path feels heavy or confusing, maybe we need to actively cultivate more joy, connect more deeply with God's love to really take flight.
Finding the wings again. And the last one in this block, sincerity.
Yes, and the passages are quite deep. Baha'u'lláh says, the sincere soul longeth for nearness to God, even as the suckling babe yearneth for its mother's breast. And Abdu'l-Bahá advises, it behooveth everyone to traverse this brief span of life with sincerity and fairness. So sincerity is presented as both this deep inner longing and a principle for daily life.
That longing for God like a baby for its mother, that feels like a very intense, maybe advanced spiritual state for a young child. How does the curriculum make that connection between this deep longing and a child's everyday understanding of being sincere?
That's a great question. It bridges the gap by grounding the abstract idea in concrete actions. For a child, sincerity means being true in your heart and what you do. Like helping someone because you genuinely want to be kind, not just to get praise or avoid trouble.
Be real.
Exactly. The longing for God part is simplified by teaching them that doing sincere things is what pleases God. For adults, this early introduction is a potent reminder that true devotion shows up in the authenticity of our daily actions. It's not enough to just say we believe. Our actions have to sincerely reflect that inner longing. It demands real integrity inside and out.
Okay, these are really profound qualities. Let's see how the stories in Section 8 bring them out. Lesson 5, Generosity, uses the story of young Abdu'l-Bahá giving away his father's sheep. Baha'u'lláh was pleased, foretelling his future boundless generosity. What insight does this story give about the nature of generosity, especially linking his childhood act to giving his whole being later?
It gives a profound insight into the source and the ultimate potential of generosity. It shows true generosity isn't a calculated exchange. It flows from a compassionate heart. Even as a boy, Abdu'l-Bahá felt such empathy for the poor shepherds. He gave what wasn't technically his to give, trusting his father would understand.
Trusting in goodness.
Yes, and linking that to his later life, giving his whole being, reveals that material generosity is just the start. It leads to spiritual generosity, giving your whole self for humanity's welfare. It shows generosity as this boundless, innate quality of a spiritually advanced soul, fundamental to selfless leadership.
That really elevates the concept. Then lesson 6, selflessness, uses the story of Abdu'l-Bahá turning down an expensive coat because he preferred others have comfort. What core principle does this illustrate about selflessness in action?
The core principle it illustrates is that selflessness is an active choice to put others' needs before your own comfort or desire, even when something nice is offered directly to you. The story sets up a clear contrast, tempting material thing versus a spiritual decision.
Giving versus taking.
Right. For kids, it's a very clear example. For adults, it shows that putting others first often means actively giving up something, personal comfort, recognition, possessions for the greater good, or someone else's benefit. It makes selflessness a tangible act of sacrifice, not just a fuzzy ideal.
Very practical. Lesson 7, joyfulness, has the story of Leroy Ayos meeting Abdu'l-Bahá and wanted to offer his heart instead of flowers. The material says the point is the heart is more precious than things. Why is this story so effective at conveying the spiritual value of the heart, and how does it show joy being reciprocal?
It's effective because it contrasts a temporary gift, flowers, with the eternal gift of a pure heart. Abdu'l-Bahá's response validates Leroy's sincere inner offering as far more valuable.
Affirming the inner gift.
Yes. For kids, it teaches them to value their own goodness. And the reciprocal joy is shown beautifully when Abdu'l-Bahá gives Leroy the rose from his own coat, bringing the boy immense joy. It teaches that the deepest joy often comes from giving and receiving sincere love, more so than from things. Bringing joy to others brings joy to ourselves.
That's lovely. And lesson 8, sincerity, uses the story of the man tricking his neighbor into cutting down a tree. How does this negative example teach sincerity, and what subtle lesson is there for adults about manipulation?
It's actually quite sophisticated. For kids, it helps them see that appearances can be deceiving. Words might not match true feelings or intentions. The man acted helpful but was really selfish.
Pretending.
Exactly. For adults, it subtly teaches about how manipulation works, self-soothing motives hidden behind fake goodwill. And the cost to the insincere neighbor wasn't just losing out on something, it was damaging trust, harming a relationship, compromising his own integrity. It shows that even if manipulation achieves a short-term goal, it ultimately undermines human connection and moral standing. Real rewards come from being genuine.
A cautionary tale with depth. And Section 9 loops back again to the need for continuous practice and preparation for teachers. Why the constant emphasis on that?
Because teaching these lessons is seen as a craft, needing ongoing refinement and genuine engagement. It's not just data transfer, it's facilitating a spiritual experience.
Keeping it fresh.
And authentic. Continuous practice helps teachers internalize the material so they can deliver it from the heart, responding genuinely to the children's needs. It reminds us that real spiritual education demands ongoing personal growth from the teacher. It keeps the transmission living, not just rote.
Okay, moving on to our third block of lessons, lessons 9 through 12. What's the focus here?
This set delves into qualities that build inner strength and strong ethical conduct. We're looking at humility, thankfulness, forgiveness, and honesty. Really character-building virtues.
Humility, thankfulness, forgiveness, honesty. Got it. And the teacher's prayer for this block.
It's a beautiful one from Bahá'u'lláh. O my Lord, make thy beauty to be my food, and thy presence my drink, and thy pleasure my hope. It expresses such deep spiritual longing and reliance on God.
Make thy beauty my food, thy presence my drink. That really reframes where we find sustenance, doesn't it? What does that teach us adults about where true contentment comes from, especially when we often look for it elsewhere?
It's a profound reorientation. It reminds us adults that our deepest nourishment, our real refreshment, our ultimate hope should stem from our connection to God.
Not from worldly things.
Right. It suggests if we feel spiritually empty or parched, maybe we're seeking food and drink in the wrong places. Lasting contentment comes from submitting to God's will, finding joy in His presence, not in fleeting pleasures. It fundamentally reevaluates what truly satisfies us.
And the children's prayer for these lessons.
It's another well-known one from Baha'u'lláh. Blessed is the spot and the house and the place and the city and the heart and the mountain. It goes on, mentioning where God is remembered.
Speaking of blessedness, how does the curriculum simplify a profound term like blessed for kids without losing its depth for adults reflecting on it?
It does it by making the abstract tangible and universal. Linking blessed to everyday things like a house or a heart helps kids see that spirituality isn't just for special places. It can infuse their normal world with meaning.
Making the sacred accessible.
Exactly. And for adults reflecting on it, it's a powerful reminder that the sacred is everywhere. Any place, any state of being can become blessed through remembering and glorifying God. It encourages us to consciously resacralize our ordinary lives, seeing divine presence transforming everything.
Bringing divinity into the everyday. Okay, let's look at these qualities. Humility, thankfulness, forgiveness, honesty. Starting with humility.
Right. Baha'u'lláh teaches, humility exalteth man to the heaven of glory and power, whilst pride abaseth him. And Abdu'l-Bahá says our highest distinction is being lowly and obedient before God. So humility isn't weakness, it's the path to glory and power.
It's counterintuitive to worldly thinking, where pride is often linked to power. What does this Baha'i perspective offer adults seeking real influence or leadership?
It offers a completely different model for influence. The insight is that genuine glory and power, especially spiritual power, are inversely related to showing off your pride.
The less pride, the more real power.
In a spiritual sense, yes. Leadership rooted in humility and obedience to God gains a deeper moral authority, a greater capacity to serve effectively. It's not about putting yourself down, but recognizing talents as gifts from God. That frees you from ego, allowing for a more potent, divinely guided impact. It's about spiritual gravitas.
Spiritual gravitas. I like that. Next, thankfulness.
Baha'u'lláh says, "Be then content with my pleasure and thankful unto me." And Abdu'l-Bahá reminds us to thank God for his bestowals, the powers he's given us, the crown he has placed upon our heads. It's about contentment with God's will and recognizing his gifts, even when things are tough.
So thankfulness isn't just for the good times, it's a deeper contentment, recognizing blessings even in difficulty. How does the curriculum instill that kind of resilient gratitude in kids? And what's the lesson for adults about inner peace?
It starts by consistently linking gratitude back to God's constant love and care, regardless of what's happening externally. For kids, it might be simplified as, always find something to be happy about because God loves you.
Focusing on the constant love.
Yes. For adults, the profound implication is that thankfulness is a spiritual discipline that actively creates inner peace. It's about consciously shifting focus from what's missing to what is given, even in trials. This change in perspective, nurtured from childhood, becomes a powerful antidote to discontent, leading to a more stable tranquility of heart.
A discipline for peace. Then, forgiveness. This can be hard for anyone.
And it's so important. Baha'u'lláh says we should forgive the sinner, never despise them because we don't know our own end. And Abdu'l-Bahá advises us not to look at faults, but to see with the sight of forgiveness, because the imperfect eye sees imperfections, but the eye that covers faults looks towards God.
The sight of forgiveness, that's a beautiful phrase, suggesting a different way of seeing. What's the deep benefit of cultivating that sight, both for the person forgiving and for the community?
The benefits are huge. For the individual, seeing with forgiveness means letting go of resentment and judgment, which are spiritually heavy burdens. It fosters empathy, recognizing our shared human imperfection. None knoweth what his own end shall be.
Humility again.
Exactly. And for the community, forgiveness is foundational for reconciliation and unity. It breaks cycles of revenge, creates space for mistakes to be overcome, for relationships to heal. It's not just mercy, it's spiritual liberation and community building.
Powerful. And the last one in this block, honesty.
Baha'u'lláh states, honesty, virtue, wisdom, and a saintly character redound to the exaltation of man. And Abdu'l-Bahá calls honesty, along with trustworthiness and wisdom, God's beauteous adornments for his creatures. So it's exalting, beautiful, and a pillar of security.
Exaltation for the individual, security for the community. What does that dual focus reveal about how the Baha'i faith views honesty's role?
It reveals a really comprehensive view. Honesty is both an inner spiritual quality and an essential social necessity. For the individual, it lifts character, leading to wisdom and virtue. For society, it builds that pillar of security.
But interconnected.
Completely. Individual integrity strengthens the whole community, and a secure, trusting community helps individuals grow morally. It shows honesty isn't just an ethical rule, it's fundamental for both personal spiritual progress and building a just, harmonious world. It's the glue, really.
The glue of civilization. Okay, these deep qualities are illustrated in Section 12 stories. Lesson 9, humility, uses the story of Abdu'l-Bahá refusing special treatment from wealthy visitors. What specific aspect of humility does that pinpoint? And what does it say about real spiritual authority?
It brilliantly pinpoints humility as spiritual self-effacement, especially when offered honor or deference. Abdu'l-Bahá refusing the special towel and water showed that true spiritual authority isn't about external status or being fussed over.
Not seeking special treatment.
Right. For kids, that's the clear message. For adults, it reveals that spiritual authority comes from service and devotion to God, not worldly rank. It challenges typical ideas of power, showing the most elevated are those who choose to serve most humbly.
A powerful contrast. Lesson 10, thankfulness, uses that story of the troubled lady meeting Abdu'l-Bahá, who then connects her with Mirza Da'd-Ali, a man full of gratitude despite immense suffering. What's the genius of using that contrast, and what's the adult lesson about resilience?
The genius is the stark contrast itself. It really amplifies the meaning of thankfulness. The lady sees only her problems, her lack. Mirza Da'd-Ali, despite terrible hardships, radiates gratitude.
Seeing gratitude as a choice.
Exactly. It teaches kids thankfulness is a perspective, not just a reaction to good fortune. For adults, it's a potent lesson in spiritual resilience. True thankfulness goes beyond circumstances. It's actively cultivating contentment with God's will and inner peace that finds blessings even in adversity. It's like spiritual alchemy turning hardship into gratitude.
Spiritual alchemy. Love that. Lesson 11, forgiveness, tells of Abdu'l-Bahá forgiving and later helping a governor who tried to harm him. The material stresses forgiveness includes kindness and help. What insight does Abdu'l-Bahá's action give about the transformative power of active forgiveness?
It shows that true forgiveness isn't just passively stopping anger. It's an active, benevolent engagement that genuinely seeks the well-being of the person who wronged you.
Going the extra mile.
Absolutely, helping the governor when he was down. For the forgiver, this active approach is liberating. It stops resentment festering and expands the heart. For the forgiven, it opens a door to redemption, showing love can overcome hate. It demonstrates forgiveness as a spiritual force that can heal brokenness and foster real change, leading towards unity.
A very high standard indeed. And lesson 12, honesty, involves Abdu'l-Bahá dealing with the carriage driver demanding an unfair price. What's the specific lesson here about the long-term results of dishonesty? And what does it reveal about the spiritual economy of trust?
The specific lesson is about the opportunity cost of dishonesty. The driver tried to cheat, and in doing so, missed out on the potentially much larger reward, Abdu'l-Bahá's generosity.
Short-term gain, long-term loss.
Precisely. For kids, it shows dishonesty often leads to bigger losses later, not just money, but reputation, good relationships. For adults, it reveals this unseen spiritual economy. Trust is like spiritual capital. Erode it, and you lose opportunities for real connection and divine blessings. Abdu'l-Bahá's calm response, just let the driver experience the natural consequence of his untruthfulness, subtly showing integrity brings its own profound rewards.
Let the consequences teach the lesson. And again, the emphasis on continued practice for the teachers.
Yes, reinforcing that these are capacities to develop, not just ideas to know. Consistent practice builds authenticity and ease, which is vital for the children's spiritual growth. It's a reminder that spiritual development is an ongoing journey for everyone involved.
All right, let's move into the next set, lessons 13 through 16. What qualities are we exploring here?
These focus on virtues that expand our capacity for love and inner peace. Compassion, detachment, contentment, and kindness. These help us navigate life with more spiritual poise.
Compassion, detachment, contentment, kindness. Okay, and the teacher's prayer for this block.
It's from Bahá'u'lláh. O my merciful Lord, this is a hyacinth which hath grown in the garden of thy good pleasure, and a twig which hath appeared in the orchard of true knowledge. Beautiful imagery of growth and divine grace.
Hyacinth in the garden of thy good pleasure, twig in the orchard of true knowledge. Lovely. What understanding of spiritual growth does this convey to adults? And how does it set the tone for nurturing kids?
It conveys growth as this organic process cultivated by God. For adults, it's a reminder that our development isn't just effort, it's also grace, flourishing within God's will and the environment of divine knowledge.
Nurtured growth.
Yes. And for kids, it frames them as precious, nascent beings, constantly nourished by divine love and wisdom, like plants in a garden. It instills security and purpose, showing growth is natural and supported.
And the children's prayer echoes this.
Beautifully. It's also from Bahá'u'lláh. O Lord, plant this tender seedling in the garden of thy manifold bounties, water it from the fountains of thy loving kindness, and grant that it may grow into a goodly plant.
Tender seedling. How does that metaphor convey a child's dependence on divine grace? And what does it teach adults about our own ongoing need for spiritual nourishment?
The tender seedling image immediately suggests vulnerability and potential, but also complete reliance on outside help, sun, water, good soil. For kids, it's relatable. They need God's love and guidance to grow strong.
And for adults.
It's a humbling reminder that even mature souls are still seedlings in God's vast garden. We perpetually need spiritual sustenance from those fountains of thy loving kindness, constantly relying on grace for ongoing growth, no matter our stage.
A lifelong need for watering. Okay, let's get into these qualities. Compassion, detachment, contentment, kindness. Starting with compassion.
Baha'u'lláh says, radiate the lights of compassion so that the hearts may be cleansed and purified. And Abdu'l-Bahá links it to unity. Ye are the fruits of one tree. Be ye compassionate and kind to all the human race. So, compassion is a purifying light, essential for unity.
Not just pity, but an active cleansing force. What's the implication of seeing compassion as a light that cleanses hearts? How does that elevate it beyond just empathy?
Viewing it as a cleansing light makes it an active, transformative power. The implication is, compassion doesn't just help the receiver, it purifies the giver, too. It cleanses us of judgment, indifference, selfishness.
A reciprocal cleansing.
Exactly. For children, it lays the groundwork for seeing their kindness as a form of spiritual light that helps bring people together. For adults, it challenges us to actively radiate compassion as a way to heal both others and ourselves.
Next, detachment. This is often misunderstood, isn't it? Especially today.
It can be. Baha'u'lláh advises, detach yourselves from all else but me, for better is this for you than the things ye possess. And Abdu'l-Bahá explains, detachment is as the sun, in whatsoever heart it doth shine, it quencheth the fire of covetousness and self. So it's about turning to God, which then extinguishes selfishness.
So detachment isn't necessarily about having nothing, but about where your heart is focused. What's the liberating insight there for adults, especially that idea of detachment as a spiritual sun?
The core insight is liberation through reordering your affections. True security and joy aren't in things, but in God. When detachment shines like a sun in the heart, it reconfigures desire, burns away covetousness and ego.
Freeing you from wanting things.
Freeing you from being ruled by wanting things, freeing you from the tyranny of ego, that brings profound inner peace, regardless of your material situation. It's a spiritual path to contentment, not necessarily asceticism.
Which leads us neatly to contentment itself.
Indeed. Baha'u'lláh states we find no rest except in submission and humbleness before God. And Abdu'l-Bahá says, be happy and content with whatsoever God hath willed, that thy heart and soul may find tranquility. So contentment is peace found in submission and acceptance.
Finding peace even when things aren't ideal, through aligning with God's will. What's the profound lesson in linking contentment so directly to submission and humbleness, even for kids?
The profound lesson is that true contentment isn't passive resignation. It's an active, conscious alignment with a loving, divine plan. Introducing this early helps kids understand that deep peace comes from trusting God, even when things are hard.
Trusting the bigger picture.
Yes. For adults, it reinforces that chasing desires brings no lasting rest. Real tranquility comes from that spiritual posture of humility, accepting God's wisdom, whether it matches our immediate wishes or not. It leads to unshakable inner calm.
And the last one in this group, kindness.
Baha'u'lláh says he loves to see us consorting in amity and concord, and Abdu'l-Bahá gives this powerful charge. Be sincerely kind, not in appearance only. Let each one of God's loved ones center his attention on this, to be the Lord's mercy to man.
Sincerely kind, not in appearance only, and be the Lord's mercy to man. Wow, That elevates kindness way beyond just being nice, doesn't it? What does it mean to embody God's mercy?
It elevates kindness to a core spiritual imperative. It means becoming a channel for God's boundless love and compassion in the world.
How does that look practically?
It means cultivating a radical, universal kindness that radiates goodwill without expectation or judgment, actively seeking to alleviate suffering, promote well-being for everyone. It's consciously choosing to be a tangible expression of God's mercy through our actions.
A very high calling. Okay, let's see how the stories in section 15 illustrate these. Lesson 13, compassion, uses the story of Abdu'l-Bahá seeking out a woman who had been turned away from his house. What does that teach about the nature of true compassion?
It teaches that true compassion is proactive and deeply sensitive to suffering, even unspoken suffering. The woman was turned away, but Abdu'l-Bahá didn't just hear about it. He actively went to find her himself.
Taking personal action.
Yes. For kids, it shows compassion means noticing hurt and actively trying to help. For adults, it shows genuine compassion often requires seeking out those in distress, cutting through bureaucracy or social norms to meet human need directly. It's about discerning hidden pain and responding personally.
Lesson 14, detachment, uses the story of two friends traveling to the Holy Land, one rich, one not. How does this convey the message about possessions? And what's the deeper adult meaning about the spiritual journey?
For kids, the message is clear. Being too attached to stuff can weigh you down on your spiritual journey. The rich friend, burdened by belongings and worries, struggled. The other traveled light and joyfully.
Possessions hindering the journey.
Right. For adults, the story illustrates that detachment isn't about having things, but about not being attached to them. The journey is a metaphor for drawing closer to God. Detachment means our possessions serve us, they don't rule us, freeing our hearts to focus on spiritual growth.
Very clear. Lesson 15, contentment, cites Abdu'l-Bahá saying, he was happy in prison in Akka because he was serving God. What insight does that give about the source of true contentment, especially given the harsh reality of prison? And what's the lesson about inner freedom?
It's a powerful, almost paradoxical insight. True contentment is independent of external conditions and rooted in alignment with divine purpose and service.
Happy in prison.
Because his spirit was focused on service. For kids, it shows happiness isn't just getting what you want, but finding joy in doing good. For adults, it's a profound lesson in inner freedom. Our spirit can be free even if our body is confined. True contentment comes from an inner state of devotion. Ultimate freedom is spiritual.
Amazing resilience. And lesson 16, kindness, tells of Abdu'l-Bahá interacting with a very angry, hateful man in Akka. How does this show the transformative power of unwavering kindness and illustrate love being stronger than hate?
It shows that unwavering kindness, even facing persistent hostility, has a unique power. Abdu'l-Bahá consistently met hate with gentleness and service, never fighting back with anger.
Like water on stone.
Exactly. For kids, it shows choosing kindness can eventually soften anger. For adults, it demonstrates the principle. Love is stronger than hate because love heals and unites, while hate just divides and destroys. Abdu'l-Bahā's persistent kindness eventually broke through the man's defenses, showing true spiritual strength disarms opponents with unconditional love, leading to inner change for everyone.
A powerful demonstration. And again, the reminder about practice.
Yes, always circling back to practice. It builds the teacher's capacity to deliver these deep lessons authentically, making sure the teachings become part of their being, which is key for inspiring the kids.
Okay, we're on to our fifth block now, lessons 17 through 20. What qualities fortify the soul here?
These focus on virtues that really strengthen our spiritual capacity and inner spirit. Courage, hopefulness, trustworthiness, and enkindlement. These empower the soul.
Courage, hopefulness, trustworthiness, enkindlement. Powerful. And the teacher's prayer.
It's from Abdu'l-Bahá. Oh my God, oh my God. This thy servant hath advanced towards thee, is passionately wandering in the desert of thy love. It expresses such fervor and constancy.
Passionately wandering in the desert of thy love. What image of the spiritual journey does that paint for adults? And how does it set a tone for kids?
It paints the journey as active, intense, driven by devotion, even through challenges, the desert. For adults, it reminds us spiritual growth isn't passive. It's a dynamic, sometimes tough quest fueled by love for God.
A fervent quest.
Yes. For kids, it sets a tone of enthusiastic seeking, making the spiritual journey feel like an exciting adventure driven by love for God, fostering purpose and discovery.
And the children's prayer for this set, it sounds quite profound.
It is. It's longer. From Baha'u'lláh. Thy name is my healing, O my God, and remembrance of thee is my remedy. Nearness to thee is my hope, and love for thee is my companion. Thy mercy to me is my healing and my succor in both this world and the world to come. Thou verily art the all-bountiful, the all-knowing, the all-wise.
That's a comprehensive declaration. How does introducing this to young children establish God as the ultimate source of everything good? And what's the deeper understanding for adults about reliance on God?
Even simplified, it clearly establishes God as the sole source of healing, remedy, hope, companionship. It teaches kids their first resort in any trouble is God.
Turning to God first.
Right. For adults, it offers a profound understanding of divine reliance. It suggests complete surrender to God's power and mercy, affirming our true well-being, physical, emotional, spiritual, depends entirely on Him, not worldly solutions. It's a core affirmation of trusting God completely.
A foundation of trust. Okay, let's explore these qualities. Courage, hopefulness, trustworthiness, enkindlement. Starting with courage.
Abdu'l-Bahá advises striving to turn wholly toward the kingdom, that ye may acquire innate courage and ideal power. And he hopes we become sources of comfort and courage for others. So courage is linked to turning to God, and it helps others too.
So Baha'i courage isn't just facing fear, but an innate power from connecting with the kingdom. How is that different?
It's just the source. Courage isn't just psychological grit. It's an internal, spiritual attribute you cultivate by aligning with God's will. True bravery comes from that connection.
God helps you be brave.
Essentially, yes. For adults, it means our capacity for courage grows with our spiritual connection and detachment from worldly fears. Our deepest strength comes from relying on God, which then enables us to face our own challenges and be a refuge for others.
Next, hopefulness.
Baha'u'lláh says, set all thy hope in God and cleave tenaciously to His unfailing mercy. And Abdu'l-Bahá reminds us we're always immersed in a sea of God's blessings, so we should never be hopeless, but firm in thy hope.
Always in a sea of blessings. That's a powerful image for hope. What's the unique Baha'i understanding here, and what does it mean for adults facing despair?
The unique understanding is that hope isn't just wishful thinking. It's profound trust rooted in the certainty of God's constant mercy and blessings, always present.
Even when we don't see them.
Exactly. For adults, it implies despair is like spiritual blindness, failing to see the divine bounties always flowing. It challenges us to actively cultivate spiritual vision, recognize blessings even in trials, and hold on to hope as an act of faith, no matter what things look like externally.
Holding firm. Then trustworthiness.
Baha'u'lláh calls it the goodliest vesture in God's sight today. And Abdu'l-Bahá says it's like a stronghold to the city of humanity and as eyes to the human temple.
Eyes to the human temple. That's striking. What does that metaphor reveal about how vital trustworthiness is, not just personally, but for society?
It reveals trustworthiness as absolutely essential for clear perception and functioning, personally and collectively. Like physical eyes guide the body, trustworthiness guides humanity, enabling clarity, security, cooperation.
Without it, we're blind.
Society operates in spiritual blindness and vulnerability without it, yes. It's not just a nice-to-have virtue, it's the bedrock for cooperation, justice, progress. It lets us see truth and navigate relationships with confidence.
Foundational. And the last one, enkindlement. The quotes sound intense.
They are vivid. Abdu'l-Bahá says we should be so ablaze with the fire of the love of God that the heat thereof may be manifest in all your veins. And Baha'u'lláh says, kindle the fire of love and burn away all things, then set thy foot into the land of the lovers. It's about intense love for God transforming us.
This fire of love, what's its transformative power? And what does it burn away?
Its power is purification and mobilization. When you're enkindled, this intense love permeates everything. This fire burns away things holding you back spiritually, attachment to self, worldly desires, prejudices, fear.
Clearing the path.
Yes. For kids, it's like having a super warm love for God. For adults, it signifies a radical transformation. The old self is consumed. making way for a selfless, divinely inspired person ready for deep service and devotion. It's the ultimate spiritual ignition.
Spiritual ignition. Okay, let's see. The stories in Section 18 illustrate these. Lesson 17, Courage, tells of Ali Asghar refusing to lie even when threatened by an official. His obedience to God gave him courage. What does this teach about the source of moral courage?
It teaches a crucial lesson. Moral courage often comes not from physical strength, but from unwavering commitment to spiritual principles, like truthfulness and obedience to God. Ali Asghar's bravery came from his integrity.
Faith-fueling bravery.
Exactly. For adults, it shows the highest bravery is often spiritual, upholding truth and justice despite personal risk, knowing you're aligned with divine power. It shows a strong spiritual foundation is the wellspring of moral fortitude.
Lesson 18, Hopefulness, has Abdu'l-Bahá cheering up a sad man by reminding him he's rich in the kingdom of God. What does being rich in the kingdom mean for an adult, and how does this story link hope and trust?
Being rich in the kingdom means having spiritual treasures, love, wisdom, compassion, a pure heart recognizing God's blessings. These are far more valuable than material wealth.
True wealth.
Right. The story links hope and trust by shifting the man's focus from material lack to spiritual abundance. For adults, it teaches hope thrives when we trust in God's love and the reality of the spiritual realm, not just fleeting circumstances. Abdu'l-Bahá rekindled the man's spiritual vision, letting him see his real riches, restoring hope and trust.
Lesson 19, Trustworthiness, features Muhammad Taqi, trusted with important mail. What specific aspect of trustworthiness does this highlight, and what does it imply about the diligence needed for reliability?
It vividly highlights trustworthiness as both absolute integrity and meticulous diligence. Muhammad Taqi wasn't just honest, he was careful, precise, ensuring every letter got through.
Not just honest, but careful, too.
Yes. The implication for adults is trustworthiness requires reliability and dependability in action. You can't be careless and trustworthy. It demands attention to detail, accuracy, honor, and commitments. It's built on moral fiber and practical competence.
A very practical virtue. And Lesson 20, Enkindlement, uses Thomas Breakwell's story and the fire candle metaphor for intense love for God. What parts of the story show he was enkindled, and what does his rapid transformation reveal?
His story shows enkindlement through his immediate, radical life change. He heard about the faith and instantly abandoned his old life, dedicating himself completely to God. It wasn't gradual, it was like a sudden spiritual combustion.
A blazing fire.
Exactly. For adults, his rapid change reveals the sheer potency of genuine enkindlement. It's an awakening so powerful it can instantly reorient your whole life. It shows when the heart truly catches fire with divine love, other attachments just burn away, leading to focused, passionate devotion.
An amazing transformation. Okay, we've reached the final 4 lessons, 21 through 24, a culmination of the Grade 1 journey. What virtues do we explore here?
These really equip the soul for a life of purpose and resilience. Radiance, faithfulness, patience, and steadfastness.
Radiance, faithfulness, patience, steadfastness, a strong finish, and the teacher's prayer.
It's from Bahá'u'lláh. Create in me a pure heart, O my God, and renew a tranquil conscience within me, O my hope. It's an aspiration for confirmation, guidance, holiness, tranquility.
Create in me a pure heart. Renew a tranquil conscience. A fitting prayer for the end of the grade. What does it teach adults about spiritual purification and inner peace being ongoing?
It powerfully teaches that purification and tranquility aren't destinations you arrive at, but continuous processes. Even after studying virtues for a year, the soul still asks for a pure heart, a renewed tranquil conscience.
Always more work to do.
Yes. It shows inner peace isn't lack of struggle, but constant alignment with God and keeping that clear conscience. For kids, it sets up a lifelong journey of self-improvement. For adults, it's a humble reminder that progress needs constant vigilance, renewed commitment, always seeking grace for inner harmony.
And the final children's prayer for Grade 1.
It's, "O thou kind Lord, I am a little child. Exalt me by admitting me to the kingdom. I am earthly, make me heavenly." It speaks of yearning for transformation.
Earthly, make me heavenly. What understanding of human potential and divine grace does that convey? And what does it imply for our own spiritual ascent as adults?
It conveys that our potential is inherently spiritual. We're striving for that heavenly state even while earthly. It teaches kids their highest goal is drawing near to God, reflecting his qualities.
Aiming high.
Exactly. For adults, it implies our earthly life is for spiritual ascent, transcending material limits, cultivating divine qualities. True exaltation comes from aligning with God's kingdom. It reminds us we're all little children before God's grace, always seeking transformation, always seeking admission to higher spiritual realms.
A beautiful perspective. Okay, the final qualities. Radiance, faithfulness, patience, steadfastness. Let's start with radiance.
Baha'u'lláh says, "Live ye one with another in radiance and joy." And Abdu'l-Bahá explains, God created us to radiate the divine light and to illumine the world by his words, action, and life. So radiance is an inherent potential, meant to light up the world.
So radiance isn't just being cheerful, it's a divinely intended purpose. How does that challenge us adults to actively cultivate this spiritual glow?
It implies radiance is fundamental to why we're here to reflect divine light. It challenges adults to go beyond just being good, to actively manifesting goodness so it uplifts others.
Shining our light.
Yes. Cultivating such a vibrant inner life that it naturally shines out through our words, actions, our very presence, inspiring joy, illuminating the world. It's a call to conscious, active, spiritual luminosity, knowing our inner state affects the outer world.
Next, faithfulness.
Baha'u'lláh links God's glory to the steadfast and unwavering heart and the constant and faithful soul. And Abdu'l-Bahá says the one favored by God today is he who hands round the cup of faithfulness and gives the jewel of bounty even to enemies. So it involves steadfastness under tests and radical generosity.
Giving bounty even to enemies. What profound insight about faithfulness does that reveal?
It reveals faithfulness in its highest form goes beyond loyalty. It includes active, unconditional benevolence even to those who oppose you.
Transforming enemies through kindness.
Yes. For kids, it's simplified as be loyal and kind even when others aren't. For adults, it shows true faithfulness is a spiritual power so vast it can transcend human divisions, transforming relationships through divine love and generosity. It's a key to peace, starting with our own unwavering commitment to goodwill.
Then, patience.
Baha'u'lláh calls patience, along with fortitude under his decree, the sign of love. And Abdu'l-Bahá advises contentment with God's decree and enduring with patience. So it's linked to love, strength, and acceptance.
A sign of love. How does defining patience as fortitude under my decree and patience under my trials elevate it beyond just waiting quietly?
It makes patience an active, conscious act of spiritual strength and love. Fortitude under my decree means actively accepting God's wisdom, even when it's hard. That takes trust and love.
Active acceptance.
Right. For adults, it implies patience is a spiritual muscle. Exercising it strengthens faith, deepens love for God, especially during trials. It's consciously choosing to remain steadfast, knowing challenges are often for growth, fostering truly unbreakable inner strength.
And the final quality, steadfastness.
Baha'u'lláh calls steadfastness in his cause the first and foremost duty. And Abdu'l-Bahá says our steadfastness must be such that nothing earthly can deter us from our duty. It's the primary duty, a constant walk in God's love, overcoming adversity, leading to everlasting glory.
The first and foremost duty. That sounds like the ultimate goal of all this spiritual education. What does everlasting glory imply for those who achieve steadfastness?
It emphasizes that the ultimate purpose is cultivating this unwavering, lifelong commitment to God's cause. Steadfastness isn't one act, it's a continuous spiritual stance. Everlasting glory suggests a reward beyond earthly fame, enduring spiritual honor, lasting impact in this world and the next.
The crown of virtues.
In a way, yes. For adults, it's a reminder that true success and fulfillment lie in unwavering devotion and service, no matter the obstacles. It's the virtue that holds all others together and allows them to function effectively.
Okay, the final story is in section 21. Lesson 21, Radiance, uses Dorothy Baker's childhood meeting with Abdu'l-Bahá, being captivated by his radiance. What does this show about the power of spiritual emanation?
It shows the palpable transformative power of it. Dorothy wasn't just impressed. She was enamored, felt immediate love and connection because of his spiritual radiance.
A visible aura.
A tangible spiritual presence. For adults, it reveals that true spiritual authority and love are living forces that profoundly impact hearts. A genuinely spiritual life creates this radiance that can spontaneously inspire deep devotion and transformation in others beyond just words.
Lesson 22, Faithfulness, tells the story of Isfandiar. What aspect of faithfulness does his story highlight? And what does it convey about the strength needed to maintain integrity under pressure?
Isfandiar's story powerfully highlights faithfulness as unwavering loyalty to truth and principle, even facing extreme adversity and temptation. He stayed true to his word and convictions despite huge tests.
Integrity under duress.
Yes. For adults, it shows faithfulness isn't just for easy times. It demands profound spiritual strength when committed to God. It requires courage, patience, deep love for God to fortify the soul against pressure. It's a masterclass in spiritual resilience.
Lesson 23, Patience, uses the story of Li Jin tending his peach tree. How does this teach patience as long-term exertion leading to fruits? And what does it reveal about the spiritual law of gradual growth?
It teaches kids patience isn't passive waiting. It's active, sustained effort over time. The peach tree needs planting, watering, protecting, consistent nurturing before you get fruit.
Effort over time.
Right. For adults, it reveals a fundamental spiritual law. Deep transformation and manifesting virtues often happen gradually. Our spiritual efforts, like tending the tree, might not show immediate results, but consistent, patient work eventually yields abundant spiritual fruits in our character and service. It's about persistent spiritual investment.
A beautiful metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, Lesson 24, Steadfastness, uses the example of Baha'i Khanum, Abdu'l-Bahá's sister. How does her life convey that steadfastness is more than enduring one crisis, but requires constant strength and constancy in God's cause?
Her life, filled with decades of hardship, imprisonment, exile, loss, shows steadfastness isn't a single brave act, but a lifelong spiritual posture of unyielding commitment. Her unwavering faith through relentless adversity demonstrates the exceptional strength and constancy needed.
Lifelong resilience.
Exactly. For kids, it shows being strong in God's love helps through many hard times. For adults, her example profoundly illustrates true steadfastness is a continuous walk of faith, needing deep love for God to face ongoing trials with unwavering courage, perseverance, and dignity. It's the ultimate proof of an unshakable inner foundation leading to that everlasting glory.
Wow. What an incredible journey through these 24 qualities. And as Section 22 notes, it feels so fitting to end Grade 1 with steadfastness and the love of God, having started with purity of heart.
It really is a beautiful full circle, isn't it? Steadfastness is what empowers students and all of us, really, to keep manifesting all those other gem-like qualities within us, from the pure intention at the start to the unshakable commitment at the end. These lessons are for kids, but the insights are profound for any age.
Truly profound. We've covered so much today in this deep dive into Section 2 of Ruhi Book 3, all 24 lessons for Grade 1. From purity and justice through generosity and humility, compassion and courage, right up to radiance and steadfastness. It really maps out a comprehensive spiritual framework for young lives.
It's been incredibly enriching to explore the depth of this curriculum's design. And just a reminder for everyone listening, this is the second of 3 parts, looking at Ruhi Book 3. Each part reveals more layers.
That's right. We'll bring you the third and final part soon, focusing on 24 lessons for children, digging even deeper into this vital curriculum. So, to make sure you catch that, please subscribe to The Deep Dive and Baha'i Reflections on your podcast app.
And we genuinely love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you from today's discussion? Please leave us a comment or reach out.
Yeah, definitely. And if you find these deep dives valuable, perhaps consider joining our membership program. It offers early access or exclusive content sometimes.
We really appreciate our current members. Your support is fantastic and helps us keep doing this, so thank you.
Absolutely. So, as we wrap up, here's something to ponder, building on everything we've discussed. If these fundamental spiritual qualities were woven into every child's early education like this, what might be the most transformative long-term impact? Not just on individuals, but on the very fabric of society, on our collective consciousness.
That is indeed a profound question to reflect on. The potential is immense.
We look forward to finishing this journey through Ruhi Book 3 with you all very soon.
Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive today.